As you know, Colonel Masmari said that he does not trust the Libyan officers or the Libyan army people because they might be the ones who will end his life.
All right, Ali Abu Zakuk, thank you very much for joining us there out of Washington. Let's now take a look at what social media are saying about all of the events in Libya, and over to MEK at our web desk. MEK.
Thanks, Doreen. Well, you were just talking there about some of the weapons used on protesters. So we start with some grim images showing the dead and the kind of injuries that they've sustained. We can't show all of what's been posted online. Some are just too graphic. Workers at this morgue are keen to show the bullet wounds on corpses brought in. It was filmed a few days ago, but only recently posted on YouTube by a user called Save Libya. And this one claims to show a mass burial site in Tripoli. It also looks like a funeral is taking place, and you can see men preparing more graves in anticipation of more dead bodies. It's difficult to verify all of the videos being posted online. Two more interesting ones selected from the video sharing site YouTube, starting with the most recent. Posted within hours, this purports to show an elderly woman celebrating the so-called liberation of the city of Benghazi. The next one is quite telling, if you ask me. It claims to show diplomats at the Libyan embassy in Rabat in Morocco. And after tearing down the flag, ripping it to pieces and shouting, "God is great," this is what happens next. A man grabs hold of a photograph of Gaddafi as his colleagues watch, and he's saying he's using planes to kill his people, he's a killer of children, and then continues to damage it. One photograph posted online on Wednesday. The website I found this on says it's a screenshot. The title reads, "Tunisia sends its message to the world." And just in case you haven't spotted it yet, they're spelling out the words "Free Libya." On to microbloggers next. Shabab Libya has been providing some of the most informative tweets. It's run by a Libyan youth group, and these were sent within the last couple of hours or so. Confirmed, Gaddafi now ordering mercenaries to clean streets of Tripoli as 2,000 start cleaning in preparation for media entry. Sporadic gunfire is being heard throughout the day in Tripoli, keeping those inside in a state of fear. And this one is on Feb 17 Voices. It's a live phone call. It says Tripoli, a caller saw pro-Gaddafi supporters with green armbands in the streets today, and he heard that they have been armed by the state. Another live phone call into Feb 17 Voices. Government sent SMS, text messaging that is, telling people to go back to work and to stop their kids from participating in protests. Well, you can keep up to date with the very latest, including our live blog, which is updated every few minutes throughout the day. That's on aljazeera.net/English. Back to Doreen now.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Well, now we can take a look at some other news, and international teams are helping with New Zealand's rescue effort following Tuesday's devastating earthquake. But New Zealand's Prime Minister says releasing the names of the dead will be a slow process.
Police will release more names on a regular basis as the situation progresses. I would just urge you, though, that the number of names that they're likely to release today is a small number. We have reiterated to the Police Commissioner, we think the need for that information to be in the public domain as and when it's possible, but it's vitally important that the information is accurate. And there are a number of families who aren't comfortable at this point with the name being publicly released.
Our correspondent Andrew Thomas has more from Christchurch.
The rescue mission is still underway in Christchurch, but hope with every passing hour fades just a little more. 76 confirmed bodies now in this city's mortuary, but the expectation, the certainty that that number will rise as more bodies are recovered. Recovering the bodies is still not the top priority. They are still hoping there may be survivors underneath the rubble. But on Thursday, no sign of life whatsoever has been detected, despite dogs going out, despite cameras underneath the rubble. There's no voices under there that anyone has been able to detect. The New Zealand Rescue Service is supported here now by rescuers that have been flown in from all over the world. Japan in particular has sent a lot of rescuers here because they had so many of their citizens in Christchurch. There was an English language school in the Canterbury Television building, which was one of the worst affected, one that has completely collapsed. And there were believed, it's thought, nearly 50 students, Japanese students, inside that building when it collapsed, and the Japanese government has a specialist search and rescue team working on that site specifically. But the New Zealand rescuers have moved on to other places where they think there is still a little more chance they may find survivors, but nobody has been pulled out alive from the rubble here in Christchurch since Wednesday afternoon. It's almost then 24 hours now since any survivors were pulled out from here. The Prime Minister has been commenting again on the situation here. He's also sent some of his ministers, and the Police Minister gave a press conference where she was talking about bodies she saw being pulled from buildings. But a desperate situation as the death toll looks certain to rise.
Saudi Arabia's King Abdullah has promised $10.7 billion in pay rises, job creation and leniency on loans. He made that announcement as he returned home after spending 3 months abroad for medical treatment. The new development fund is being set up to help struggling Saudis buy homes, get married and start businesses. 7 people have been injured during clashes in the Greek capital, Athens. During the demonstration, a policeman was set on fire. The video shows other officers rushing to his aid as he tried to put the fire out. The clashes took place as tens of thousands of people protested against austerity measures. Protesters also hurled rocks at the security forces who responded with tear gas. And then, at least 4 people have been arrested. A year after entering the Swat Valley, Pakistan's army has begun to scale down its operations in the region. But the big challenge now is how to rehabilitate some of the men who were once considered the enemy. Here's Kamal Haidar.
For the first time since the army started its de-radicalization program, we're allowed to visit one of the detention centers. To an outsider, this may look like a lecture room at a college or university. But this is the Mishal or Beacon program, helping detainees to reintegrate into mainstream society. Not long ago, these men had taken up arms against the military, but now under watchful eyes, they were being retrained in a relatively free environment. Each detainee is carefully screened before being selected for vocational training. We talked to one of the psychiatrists to find out what he feels may make the difference.
I see them very energetic and very active in the participation. And on account of rehabilitation and account of repeated assessments, I found out that they have very high motivation to go back into the society and become a more useful part than they used to be.
The Swati Taliban were able to recruit people who came from poor sections of society, unskilled laborers and farmers. The military therefore thought that in order to de-radicalize them, they must be given vocational training so they can become useful members of their society. Talking to some of the detainees in a casual and open environment, we asked what they feel about the program.
It's a very useful training program for us by the military, which have put us into a right direction. And after completion of courses, we would be able to serve into the society and spend a better life.